You look at this game. What went wrong for the Vikings, and kind of the Lions win a game. Like what do you think about this one?
I think this has to be the time where you consider maybe
Mike
pulling
Zimmer.
the plug on Mike Zimmer.
Thank
I
you.
think you just can't lose that game. And that last sequence, like, why is Cameron Dantzler playing cushion on a you have to stop them, keep
4th
them
and
ahead
10.
of the.
They need to get the end zone with
yeah.
6
And I
seconds
hate
left.
this. Mike Zimmer's a good defensive coach. He is not. He isn't. You let up 29 points to the Lions
To Jared Goff, who's been awful.
and
this season.
Amon-Ra St.
Who had 10
Lions,
receptions for 86 yards.
It's the most points the Lions have scored this season by over 10.
Yeah, I mean,
By 10.
yeah,
I lied. Week 1.
yeah. The
Since
fourth
week
down
1.
gamble, chasing points too early. It's just been Zimmer's issue this entire season. And me and Dylan said this in our preview for the Vikings, that he's just not a very good head coach. The Vikings probably don't have some crazy aspirations for this season, like a Super Bowl but they would have liked to be a playoff team and like to compete with the Packers, which I think the form Cousins has been in was possible, and Justin Jefferson has been on. Obviously it's impossible losing Cook, and now Thielen, I believe, is also out.
Yeah.
But injuries at this point aren't really an excuse.
I think
Every single team, of course, besides probably the Bucks, every single team has had injuries. But I mean, looking at the Vikings, I think look at the team, great defensively, terrible. It's a young secondary. We know that Patrick Peterson, obviously has not been great. But again, never put the blame on one person unless it's egregiously their fault. But this is Mike Zimmer. This is a Mike Zimmer loss, and I think to your point, pulling the plug should definitely be an option.
I think actually maybe a bit of a hot take, but I think the Vikings could actually be contenders in the NFC if they had a good coach. Because I think the weapons on the offense, it's insanely good. They've got Kirk Cousins, who's playing like a top 10 quarterback this season. I think he's a very good quarterback.
Top 5 at certain points.
Arguably, yes. And you've got two, I'd say, elite receivers, Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, both who are great in their own ways. Adam Thielen, he seems to always find the end zone, and Jefferson, he's like that main guy. You got an elite running back in Dalvin Cook, so offensive line, a defense that
and Madison, who's
been great, and the defense isn't terrible. I think there's
That's
talent.
where I disagree.
There's talent. No, they're dealing with injuries, sure, but they've got Eric Kendricks, they got Harrison Smith. I mean, they don't have much of a secondary, but they got Barr and linebacker. They got Daniil Hunter. I mean.
Daniil Hunter's out.
I know, but I'm saying hypothetically, if they were to stay healthy.
But it's the defense where it kills me because, they have the offensive talent. Kirk Cousins, I know you quickly dismissed this yesterday, but he is playing like an MVP in my mind. I don't think he'll win, but he has 3,353 yards, 25 touchdowns, and just 3 interceptions this season. Only one of those has come in the last 8 weeks. And in those 8 weeks, he's got 15 touchdowns to 1 interception.
Oh, he's been great.
He's playing amazingly. Justin Jefferson is a top receiver in the NFL right now. Adam Thielen's playing like a top 10, 15 receiver in the NFL. Yeah. Dalvin Cook, of course, we know how good he is. Alexander Mattison starts for most teams in the NFL. Where they do lack is defense. 5 of the last 7 weeks, they've let up 28-plus points. And that's just really not giving the offense a chance to show what they can do. And they lost 34-31 against the Ravens in overtime. Beat the Chargers 27-20. 20 points is still not great. They did win the game. They beat the Packers 34-31. Their offense was able to do enough. They lost to the Niners 34-26, a close game, but their defense just didn't hold on long enough. And then lost to the Lions 29-27. And it's just not good enough. Even when they played the Packers, this is now 7 weeks ago, they let up 28 points to the Panthers team that just isn't very good. They only won 34-28 in overtime, and it's not good enough. Their defense just hasn't looked very good to me, and that's why they're not a contender. I agree. Mike Zimmer has not been great, but even with a new coach, they would need some defensive improvements.
I think they would need some defensive improvements, especially in secondary. But in terms of talent, I think overall with their offense that I feel like is elite in terms of talent, and their defense I don't think is terrible. I think it can be an average to even slightly above average defense, and I think in the NFL you can work with that when you have that much talent on the offensive side of the ball, which, again, but the point I'm trying to making is that really this team with the talent they have shouldn't be 5-7.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they could. I think they.
That's
I
where I think the Kirk Cousins MVP. Because do you think winning is a quarterback stat or should be?
Yes.
To a certain extent,
Yes.
yes. But
I
it
would say the
doesn't
only person
reflect.
who does not apply that was Deshaun Watson.
There are exceptions. It's not just Deshaun Watson.
Because Deshaun
Yeah.
Watson
There
was
are
fantastic last. Remember, he was on that
Yeah.
most passing yards. Yeah, I mean, again, it comes down to defensively. Whatever. I mean, the teams that win the Super Bowls are generally very rounded teams, and the Vikings, of course, they are not. But I think they're on the right path.
Yeah.
But then the question to me comes down to: is Kirk Cousins the guy for when that happens, or is it Kellen Mond?
I think no. I think it's definitely Kirk
Yeah.
Cousins. I mean,
Kirk Cousins.
I would say I think Kirk Cousins can win a Super Bowl with his team if he has a solid defense and a good coach. And I think their defense, if they stay healthy, add some secondary help, get a good coach, Vikings can easily be contenders.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure that you don't, because Adam Thielen, he's how old now? Like 30s, early 30s, I think.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you get like the best out of what's left of his window, so you can really contend in his final years where he is a top 15 receiver in the NFL.
Mhm.
And I think the Vikings really have a chance to be a very good team and should go all in.
Yeah, but another part where they've looked good, I guess. Their sack numbers, 36 sacks this year.